The first thing she said. The first thing she said after climbing into my truck was, "Please don't ask questions until I stop shaking." That was not the kind of sentence a man forgets. I had been rolling back through Missouri on an empty run, no cargo, bad rain, worse mood. My name is Mark. I was 38 years old, and I had made a clean profession out of being hard to reach. Long-haul trucking suited me just fine because nobody expected much from a man who was always somewhere between exits on a highway that stretched into nothing. I had a modest house outside Tulsa, Oklahoma, a mortgage I paid on time, and rooms I barely walked into. That night the rain was coming down so hard, the highway looked like it was being erased from the earth. Like someone had taken a wet brush to the whole state of Missouri and decided to start over. I saw her walking along the shoulder, both arms wrapped tight around herself, head down, moving like every single step cost her something she could not afford to spend. I drove past her at first. I will be honest about that. I watched her disappear in the side mirror, and for about 5 seconds, I ran through every excuse a man tells himself when he does not want to get involved. Not my business. Could be a setup. Could be somebody else's mess. Just keep moving, Mark. Keep the wheels turning. Then she slipped on the wet gravel and caught herself hard against the guardrail. I muttered a word I will not repeat here and eased the rig onto the shoulder. When I backed up with the hazard lights flashing orange into the rain, she did not run toward me. She just stood there, completely soaked through, watching the cab of my truck, like she had to make a real decision, like she was weighing me against the storm itself. I rolled the passenger window down. "You need help?" She blinked water off her face. She was striking, even half frozen, and clearly scared. Not in any polished, put-together way. In the way a grown woman looks when she has been holding herself together through sheer determination. Tired. Careful. Still standing. "My car broke down," she called over the sound of the rain. "A few miles back. My phone's dead. Get in before you turn into a medical bill." She hesitated. I unlocked the door and leaned toward the window. "Lady, I am not out here selling magazines. It is raining." That got the smallest reaction from the corner of her mouth. Not quite a smile, but close enough. She climbed up into the passenger seat and shut the door using both hands. Cold air rushed into the cab along with wet clothes and the smell of a storm that had been working on her for too long. She started trembling so hard I could hear her teeth. I reached behind my seat and grabbed the only spare shirt I had, an old flannel I kept back there for roadside breakdowns, the kind that had seen better days but still had plenty of warmth left in it. "Here," I said, "you need to get out of those wet clothes." She stared at the shirt. Then she looked at me. I turned toward the windshield and raised one hand. "I am facing forward. You can use the sleeper curtain. That is the only option I have got." "That is what the shirt is for." She took it from me slowly. "You do this often?" she asked. "Pick up women on highways and hand them your clothes?" "Only on Tuesdays. It is Friday." "Then you are getting premium service." A weak laugh escaped her, quick and surprised, like it caught her off guard. She pulled the sleeper curtain halfway closed and moved behind it. I kept my eyes straight ahead on the rain-slicked road, hands on the wheel, like the truck was still moving down a highway somewhere, like this was just another ordinary night on the job. I heard wet fabric hit the rubber floor mat. I heard her breathing, unsteady and embarrassed. A minute later, she slid back into the passenger seat wearing my flannel shirt. It was too big on her by a long shot. She had pulled it tight around herself, like it was the last solid wall she had left. "Better?" I asked. "No." I turned the heat up higher. She rubbed her hands together, still trembling. Then she looked at me in a way that made the whole cab go very quiet, like someone had turned down the volume on the rain itself. "I need one more thing," she said. I am so cold. I knew what she meant before she even moved. She did not lean toward me like someone flirting. She leaned in like a person who had completely run out of options and genuinely hated having to ask for help. I sat there like an absolute idiot for half a second. Then I opened my arm just enough. She pressed against my side, her face near my shoulder, both hands tucked between us. She was ice cold. I kept one hand on the wheel, and the other rested lightly across her back. Not holding her in place, just giving her warmth. "Is this okay?" she whispered. "Yeah," I said. "You are stiff. I am parked. I am emotionally committed to safety." She gave another small laugh, but it came out shaky and fragile. I felt her breathing begin to slow against me. If I had known in that moment where that one awkward minute was headed, I might have walked straight into traffic just to avoid the paperwork my heart was about to create. Instead, I sat there and let a stranger warm herself against my side. And for the first time in years, I remembered what it felt like when another person's comfort mattered more than my own convenience. After a few minutes, she pulled back. "Thank you," she said quietly. "What is your name?" "Chloe." "Mark." She nodded once. "I am sorry about the shirt." "It has had worse nights." She looked toward the windshield. "Can you take me to a motel? Closest one is 30 miles out, maybe more. Roads are bad." "I can pay you back." I did not ask. That made her look at me again, sharper this time. "People usually ask." "I am not people. I am a trucker. Lower your expectations." Her mouth moved like she wanted to smile and just did not trust herself yet. I put the truck in gear. "Where's your car?" "Back near mile marker 214. It just died." I waited an hour. Nobody stopped. "Hazard lights on?" They were. "Battery probably gave up on you." "You alone?" She looked down at her hands. "Yes." There was a pause long enough that the word had a whole history behind it. I did not push. We drove slowly through the rain. The highway ahead of us looked like a dark river. After a while, she said, "I left Kansas City this morning." That is a long way to go in a car that did not want to cooperate. It cooperated long enough. With what? With getting me away. I kept my eyes on the road ahead. From who? She did not answer right away. Then, "A man named David," she said finally. "We lived together. We were not married. He liked knowing where I was at all times, who I talked to, what I spent, what I wore." She paused. It got worse after I told him I was done. I tightened my hand around the wheel. "He hurt you?" She looked toward the side window. "Not the way you were probably thinking. He was careful about it. He did not have to swing at me to make a room feel small." I understood that more than I wanted to admit. "You have family?" "Not close. I have a friend in Tulsa, or I thought I did. Her name Erin. I was trying to get there. I called her yesterday from a gas station and told her I was coming. Then my phone died today." "You can call from my house." Her head turned. "Your house? It is closer than a motel. Dry clothes, phone charger, a couch, and door locks." "No, I cannot do that." "You can." "You do not know me." "I know you are soaked through and your car is dead on the side of a Missouri highway in the middle of the night. You do not know what comes with me." That line sat between us like something solid. I glanced at her. "Does it have a name and drive a pickup truck?" She shut her eyes for a second. "I do not want to bring trouble to your door," she said. "My door has been bored for years." "Mark." That was the first time she said my name, and it sounded too careful for a woman sitting there in my flannel shirt. I kept my voice easy and level. You sleep on the couch. I sleep in my room. In the morning, you make your calls. I look at the car, and we figure out next steps together. That is all this is. She studied me like she was searching hard for the hidden angle. What do you want for it? Nothing. Nobody wants nothing. I want to get home without reading about you in tomorrow's local news. That is about as far as my ambition goes tonight. She looked away. A few seconds later, she nodded. My house was dark when we pulled into the driveway. It always looked like a place where somebody lived, on paper. Mail stacked on the counter. Clean enough because I was never home long enough to make it messy. Quiet enough to remind me why I stayed out on the road. I gave her a towel, a pair of sweatpants from a drawer, and pointed her toward the hallway. Bathroom is right there. Guest room is more storage than guest at this point, but the couch is decent. She stood in the kitchen, holding the dry clothes. You are really not going to ask for proof. Of what? That I am not lying to you. I leaned back against the counter. Are you? No. Then we are current. Her face changed. Not dramatically. Just the way a person looks when they have been bracing for impact for so long that not being hit feels strange, almost disorienting. She went down the hall. I put water in the kettle and found a can of soup that had probably been waiting for a better occasion. When she came back out in dry clothes, she looked smaller somehow, but steadier. She sat at the kitchen table and wrapped both hands around the mug I set in front of her. Soup is not fancy, I said, but it is technically food, according to the label. She opened her mouth to answer, but her mouth shook instead. Then she started crying. Not loud, not dramatic. She just put one hand over her face and let herself break in that quiet, private way people do when they have been holding everything together for too long and the last piece finally gives. I stood there, as uncomfortable as any man gets when a woman cries in his kitchen, and he owns exactly 0 emotional tools sharper than a socket wrench. Hey, I said quietly. You are safe here. That only made it worse. I am sorry, she said into her hand. I am sorry. I'm just tired. I know. No, you do not. You are right. I do not. She lowered her hand and looked at me. Thank you for not making me explain everything while I was still wet and scared. That bar is on the floor, Chloe. You would be surprised how many people trip over it. I pulled out the chair across from her and sat down. I am not one of them. She watched me for a long moment. Something in her eyes shifted. No, she said. I do not think you are. That should have been the moment I reminded both of us that she was just passing through. Instead, I sat with her until the soup was gone. Then I gave her the couch, a blanket, my charger, and the house phone. My room is at the end of the hall, I said. Door stays open, unless you want it closed. She stood beside the couch. Why would I want it closed? So you do not have to wonder if I am listening. She swallowed. Leave it open. All right. I slept badly that night, not because I did not trust her, because I did, and for some reason that unsettled me more. In the morning I found her in the kitchen making coffee like she had been there longer than one night. I hope this is okay, she said. I spotted the grounds. If you found it, you're already doing better than me most mornings. She handed me a mug. You take it black. Do I look like a man who owns flavored creamer? You look like someone who thinks cinnamon is suspicious. It is. It is sneaky bark. She laughed properly that time, an actual full laugh. It filled the kitchen in a way that surprised me. I drove out and found her car where she had left it. A tired sedan, hazard lights, completely dead battery gone flat as a parking lot. I got it towed back with help from a man named Gus, who ran a small garage near the county line. and owed me a favor, going back to a breakdown on a cold November night 2 winters ago. Gus looked at Chloe's car sitting in my driveway, and then looked at me with that expression he reserved for things he found amusing. "That yours?" "No, a woman's car. That is usually the tell mark." He grinned wide under his cap. Chloe was standing on the porch in my old sweatshirt, arms crossed, listening. Gus tipped his cap at her. "Ma'am?" "Gus do not believe anything Mark says. The man once drove 600 miles with a sandwich sitting on his dash because he did not want to stop." "It was wrapped," I said. "It had migrated to the passenger seat by the time he crossed into Tennessee." Chloe looked at me. "That does not help your whole mysterious image." "I did not order one." Gus left after we got the car positioned near the garage. I spent the afternoon going through the battery, the alternator, a few other components that had no business failing at the same time. Chloe came out twice and offered to help. "You know cars?" I asked. "I know when they stop." "Advanced level." "I can hold a flashlight." "It is daylight." "I can hold it emotionally." I glanced at her sideways and found her smiling. That smile landed harder than it had any right to. It was not coy. It was not performance. It was grateful and tired and trying to feel normal again. Those are the smiles that get you. "Go inside," I told her. "Eat something." "Are you always this bossy?" "Only when I am right." When I came in around 6 that evening, the house smelled like real dinner. That stopped me completely in the doorway. There was food on the stove, dishes washed, counters cleared, not perfect, not staged, just lived in. The smell of something warm and home-cooked hanging in the air like a memory I had misplaced somewhere along the way. Chloe turned from the sink. "I did not mean to snoop. Your pantry was honestly a crime scene." "My pantry is organized by expiration year." "That is not organization. That is just history with labels." She wiped her hands on a dish towel. "I made chicken and rice, nothing fancy." I stood there in the doorway longer than I should have. "What?" she asked. "Nothing. That face is not nothing." I looked away from her then because I had let the sentence form before I could catch it. "I am not used to coming home to food." She softened at that. I hated that I had let it out. "Well," she said gently, "you fixed car. I can make dinner." "I have not fixed it yet." "Then consider this a down payment." I sat at the table. She put a plate in front of me and sat across from me like it was the most natural thing in the world. It was not natural. But it did not feel wrong either. My ex-wife had taught me that a house could look completely full and still be completely empty. She had also taught me that some people treat a man's effort the way people treat utilities. Expected, mildly annoying, only noticed when they stop. After the divorce, I had stopped inviting anyone in. Long-haul trucking made that easy. A cab was perfect for a man who wanted walls but did not want to admit it. Chloe did not know any of that. She just passed me the salt and asked if the rice was too soft. "It is good," I said. "You hesitated." I was chewing. "You inspected it." "I inspect everything." "Romantic." I looked up. She looked down fast, but not fast enough. The word hung there between us. Ridiculous and not ridiculous at all. The next 2 days settled into a strange and comfortable routine. I worked on her car, she cleaned, cooked, called Aaron twice with no answer, and left messages that got shorter and more controlled each time. She never asked for more than I offered. She never wandered where she was not welcome. She never touched my things without asking, except to rescue the kitchen from what she described as, and I am quoting here, bachelor neglect with plumbing. On the third morning, dispatch called. I listened, then said, "That run goes tomorrow." Chloe looked up from the table. The dispatcher kept talking. Short haul, 2 nights, Oklahoma City to Amarillo, then back. I can take it, I said. After I hung up, Chloe folded her hands around her coffee mug. You are leaving tomorrow morning. 2 nights, maybe 3 if the freight gets complicated. I can go find a motel. No. Mark, no, I said again. Your car is not road ready. You stay here. Doors lock. You have my number. You have Gus's number. You have the house phone. I am not your responsibility. I did not say you were. You are acting like it. I leaned back in my chair. Then let me put it another way. I do not want a half-fixed car on my conscience, or a half-safe woman in a motel off Route 66. She looked at me quietly. Half-safe woman, she repeated. Do not make me regret the grammar. She smiled a little, but her eyes were worried. What if he finds me here? He will not. You do not know that. No, I said, I do not. That honesty landed heavier than any false confidence would have. I pushed Gus's business card across the table. Anything feels wrong, you call him. Then you leave. Not because you are weak, because smart people do not stick around just to prove a point. She picked up the card slowly. You really trust me, alone in your house? No. Her face fell slightly. I trust my read of you, I added. That is different. She studied me carefully. And what does your read say? That you will leave this place cleaner than I deserve and apologize for using 2 towels. She laughed quietly under her breath. That is annoyingly accurate. The next morning, I was gone before sunrise. Chloe stood on the porch in jeans and one of my old jackets. She had washed my flannel and folded it neatly over her arm. You want this back? She asked. Keep it until you have your own dry emergency wardrobe. I cannot keep taking your clothes. That shirt was lonely. She held it against herself for a moment. Drive safe, she said. I usually do. That is not the same as a promise. I looked at her, and for just a second, it felt too much like leaving someone who mattered. I will drive safe, I said. Her shoulders eased. Good. On the road, I operated like the professional I was supposed to be. Checked my mirrors, logs, fuel, weather, cargo, the whole checklist in order without skipping a line. But every time my phone buzzed, I looked too fast. She sent me a picture of dinner on my stove. The message read, I found actual spices hiding behind 3 cans of beans. Do you want me to file a report? I typed back. Destroy the evidence, she answered. Too late. I already used them. That night in Amarillo, sitting in the sleeper with the highway sounds outside and the dark pressing against the windows, I stared at that message longer than I should have. A woman in my house. Food on my stove. My shirt on her shoulders. My number in her phone. I should have felt trapped. I should have felt like I was making a mistake. Instead, all I felt was an urge to get back home sooner. That made me almost angry at myself. The next day, I finished the route early. Skipped my usual slow stop at the diner outside of Elk City. Took the cleaner stretch of highway back. I told myself it was because I had tools laid out and a car to finish fixing. Truckers lie too. We're just better at keeping a straight face while we do it. When I pulled into the driveway that evening, Chloe opened the front door before I had even killed the engine. She stepped onto the porch and smiled in that careful way people smile when they have been trying not to all day. You are early? Disappointed? I did not say that. You looked like you were filing paperwork in your head. She came down the porch steps. I made too much dinner. How convenient. Do not flatter yourself. I cook when I am nervous. You were nervous? She stopped a few feet from me. I did not know if you would come back the same. I did not have a smart answer for that. I climbed down from the cab. I did not know either. She nodded. Neither of us moved for a moment. Then she stepped forward and hugged me. Not like that first night. Not desperate. Not freezing. Not because she needed warmth. This one was a choice. I put both arms around her and let myself feel it fully. No hesitation this time. Her voice was quiet near my chest. I am glad you are back. Yeah, I said. Me too. She pulled back first, cheeks a little pink. Dinner is getting cold. Cannot have that. Your spices worked very hard today. That weekend we finished her car and quietly dismantled every boundary I thought I still had. Not in any rushed or careless way. Nothing like that. We sat in the garage while I replaced the alternator, and she handed me tools after pretending she did not know which one was which. This one? She asked, holding up a wrench like it was a foreign object. That is a wrench. I knew that. You were holding it like it might bite you. Tools have attitudes. Only if you insult them. She crouched beside the open hood. Do you always talk this much when you work? No. So I am special. I looked at her over the engine block. She tried to look innocent. Failed completely. You are distracting, I said. That was not a no. No, it was not. Her smile faded gently then, not from sadness, from awareness. The air between us changed the way air does when something that has been unspoken gets close to the surface. I went back to the engine because I was still capable of cowardice when I needed to be. That night after dinner, we sat on the back steps with our coffee. She told me more about David, how he never started with rules, how he always started with concern, how concern became questions, how questions became reports, how reports became punishment in the form of silence and control. Money withheld, doors blocked, keys moved. The slow, quiet shrinking of a person's world until nothing felt safe. I stayed too long, she said. Most people do when something changes gradually. She looked at me. You sound like you know. I rubbed my thumb along the mug. I was married. She waited, did not push. She did not control me, I said. She used me. Different machine. Same repair bill. Chloe did not give me pity. I appreciated that more than I could have explained. What happened? She asked. I worked. She spent. I forgave. She promised. I worked more. She respected me less. Eventually I realized the only thing keeping that marriage going was my refusal to admit it was already over. Chloe's face tightened slightly. That is a hard thing to say out loud. It gets easier after you have already paid for it. She nodded slowly. That is why you live like you are always packed. I glanced at her. She lifted one hand. Sorry. Too much no, annoyingly accurate again. I notice things. That sounds dangerous. It can be. We sat quiet for a moment. The Oklahoma night settled around us. Then she reached over and touched my hand. Just 2 fingers resting against my knuckles. I do not want to use you, she said. I looked at her hand, then at her. I know. Do you? I am trying to. She did not move her hand. I turned mine over and held it. The first kiss happened later that evening, in the kitchen, because I reached for a dish towel at the same moment she did, which sounds completely ordinary because it was. Our hands touched. She looked up. I said her name like a warning I was not sure I meant. She did not back away. Is this a bad idea? She asked. Probably. Do you want me to stop you? No. Good. She kissed me first. Soft. Careful. Testing the ground the way you test ice before you put your weight on it. I answered the same way because I was not going to be another man who took more than was offered. When we pulled back, she looked a little shaken. "You okay?" I asked. "Yes, I am just—" She laughed once, quietly embarrassed. "I forgot what it feels like to want something and not be afraid of it at the same time." I understood that so completely it made me uncomfortable. "We go slow," I said. She nodded. "Slow is good." Then she pointed at the dish towel still in my hand. "You stole that from me!" "I am establishing dominance in linen management." "There he is," she said. For 2 days it felt almost normal, better than normal. We ate breakfast late, finished the car, drove it around the block. She kept saying she needed to look for work, call Aaron again, make a real plan. I kept saying yes, of course, practical things, all while quietly hoping her plan had room somewhere in it for me and disliking myself a little for hoping. Sunday afternoon, her replacement charger finally brought her phone back to life. There were a pile of messages from Aaron, worried ones, strange ones, then one that made Chloe go completely still. "What?" I asked. She read it twice. "Aaron says David came by her apartment." I set down the socket wrench. Chloe kept reading. "She says she did not tell him anything." A pause. "Then she says she is sorry." Another pause. Then nothing. "When?" "Yesterday." "You told Aaron my name." "No, just that a trucker helped me and I was safe outside Tulsa." "Did you mention the town specifically?" She closed her eyes. "I might have. I was exhausted. I do not remember." "That is not your fault." "It feels like it is." "It is not." The next afternoon, a dark pickup truck rolled slowly into my driveway. I was in the garage. Chloe was beside me, wiping grease off her hands because she had completely stopped pretending she hated helping. The sound of tires on gravel made her turn. The color left her face so fast I could see it go. "Mark," she said. I looked past her and saw a man climbing out of the pickup like he owned the property. Early 40s, neat shirt, controlled expression. The kind of man who almost certainly said "calm down" to people he had spent 20 minutes deliberately provoking. "Inside," I told Chloe. "No." Her voice was firm. "I am not hiding in your house while he talks about me." "Fair enough." I stepped out of the garage first. She came with me, but I made sure I was between them. David stopped near the front of his truck and smiled the way people smile at a neighborhood cookout when they want everyone to see how relaxed they are. "Chloe," he called, like they were old friends. "You made this dramatic enough." She said nothing. I kept my voice flat and level. "You are on private property." He looked at me the way people look at furniture. "And who are you?" "The man telling you where you are." His eyes narrowed slightly. "I am here to talk to my girlfriend." Chloe spoke from behind me. "I am not your girlfriend." David's mouth twitched. "See, this is what she does. She gets emotional, runs off, then lets strangers play the hero." I took one step forward, not fast, just deliberate. "Do not come any closer," I said. He laughed. "Or what? Or we stop pretending this is a conversation." Chloe touched my arm, not to hold me back, to steady herself. David saw it and his face hardened. "You do not know her," he said to me. "You know whatever story she handed you while she was wearing your shirt." I felt Chloe flinch behind me. My jaw tightened, but I kept my voice calm. "Last warning. Get in your truck and leave." David pointed past me at her. "Tell him, Chloe. Tell him how you always need rescuing. How you always need someone to fix the car, or cover the rent, or make things right when life goes sideways." "Stop," she said. He ignored her. "Did she cry yet?" She is very good at that. Big eyes, sad voice. Let me guess. You are fixing the car too? The words landed exactly where he aimed them, and something old and familiar stirred in me. A voice I recognized from a darker chapter of my own life. You like feeling needed, Mark. That is your problem. You do not know when someone is using you because you think sacrifice makes you noble. David smiled. He saw something move across my face. There it is, he said quietly. You are not dumb. You figured it out. Chloe stepped around me. I put a hand out, not grabbing her, just ready. You do not get to do that, she said to him. Do what? Tell the truth. You do not know the truth. You know pressure. You know how to make people doubt themselves until they cannot hear their own thoughts. That is not the truth. He leaned slightly toward her. Get in the truck. I moved back in front of her. No. David stared at me. I pulled my phone from my shirt pocket. You have 10 seconds to leave before I call the county sheriff's office and report a man refusing to vacate private property. He scoffed. You think that scares me? No, I think consequences annoy you. That is close enough. For a long moment, I genuinely was not sure which way he would go. Then he looked at Chloe, and the smile went completely flat, cold. This is not over, he said. It is here, I answered. He got back in his pickup, reversed out hard, and left. The driveway went very quiet. Chloe stood beside me, breathing like she had been holding herself together with wire this whole time. You okay? I asked. She turned to look at me. Are you? And that was the wrong question. Because I was not. Not in the way I should have been. David had left, but he had dropped something behind on his way out. Doubt. Not about what I had seen with my own eyes, about what I was afraid of. I went back into the garage and started putting tools away. Chloe followed. Mark, I need to clean this up. The tools can wait. I said I need to clean this up. She stopped. I heard myself. Cold, flat, familiar in a way that embarrassed me. Okay, she said quietly. I wanted to turn around and fix it right then, but old habits are fast. They do not ask permission before they move. That evening dispatch called about another run. I answered before the man finished explaining the route. Chloe stood in the doorway while I packed my bag. You are leaving tonight? Early morning. You just got back, Mark. Work does not care about that. She crossed her arms. It feels like a disappearing act. I zipped the bag. It is a freight run, not a disappearing act. It feels like one. I looked at her then, and I hated the hurt on her face because it made me feel cornered, and feeling cornered made me say things I should not. You have got your car now, I said. Her eyes changed. There it was. That is not what I meant. Yes, it is. No, Chloe. It is okay. She took a step back. I heard you. Do not do that. Do what? Act like I kicked you out. She gave a tired, small laugh. You did not have to. I can show myself out just fine. I stood there with the bag in my hand, too proud to admit I was scared, and too stubborn to set it down. She went to the guest room. She came back out a few minutes later with her things, not much. A small duffel bag. My folded flannel shirt on top. That is mine, I said. She looked at the shirt for a moment. No, she said quietly. It never really was. I felt that one somewhere I was not expecting. Where are you going? I do not know yet. That is not a plan. Neither is running a freight route every time feelings become inconvenient. I almost smiled despite myself. That is a little dramatic. It is accurate. She walked to the front door. Chloe, wait! She stopped with her hand on the doorknob, but she did not turn around. I am not going to be the reason your life gets complicated, she said. My life was already complicated. It was just very quiet. Then do not let me make it louder. She opened the door. I watched her cross the yard to her car, the one I had spent 2 days fixing with my own 2 hands, which suddenly felt a great deal like I had built the exit she was walking toward. That was fair. Painful, but fair. She put her bag in the passenger seat, started the engine. It turned over cleanly on the first try. Good repair. Terrible timing. I stood inside and looked through the window like a coward in work boots. Then she put the car in reverse, and something in me finally got fed up with my own nonsense. I walked out, fast, climbed into my pickup and pulled it across the end of the driveway before she could back all the way out. She hit the brakes. A second later, she got out. "Are you serious?" she called. "Unfortunately, yes." "You blocked me in." "I did." "That is not a great look after the day I have had." "You are right." She stopped, surprised by that. I got out and stood beside my truck. "I am not stopping you from leaving," I said. "I am stopping myself from letting you go because I was too scared to ask one honest question." Her anger softened slightly, but she kept her distance. "Then ask it." I looked at the ground for just a second. Then I looked at her. "Do you want me, Chloe? Not the house, not the truck, not the car repair, not a safe place for a week. Me, the actual man. Do you want him?" She did not answer right away. I made myself keep going. "That man knew exactly where to hit. I have been used before. I paid for it in ways that went beyond money. And when he said those things out there, part of me believed him, because part of me has been waiting for someone to prove that I was stupid to let you in." Her eyes filled, but she did not cry. "And that is on me," I said, "not on you. I should have asked instead of shutting you out." She crossed her arms tight. "You hurt me." "I know. You made me feel like I had brought dirt into your clean, empty life." "My life was not clean," I said. "It was just empty." "That does not make it okay." "No, it does not." She looked at her car, then back at me. "I was leaving because I thought staying would cost you too much." I took one step closer. "It will cost me something," I said. "It will cost me the comfortable lie that I do not need anyone. I can afford that." She looked down. When she spoke, her voice was rough and quiet. "You were the first place I stopped running." I stayed quiet and let her finish. She wiped under one eye with the back of her hand, irritated at herself for the tear. "I do not know what it is supposed to feel like when it is not mixed with fear. I am still learning. But I know this. When you were gone, I did not feel relieved. I missed you. When you came back, I felt like the house made sense again, and when David was standing in your driveway, I was not hoping you would save me." She looked at me directly. "I was hoping you would believe me." That landed exactly where it needed to. "I do believe you," I said. "Do you?" "Yes." She searched my face for a long moment. "And what do you want?" I looked at the car, the house, the driveway stretching out behind us, the truck parked off to the side in the fading light. The safest answer was to let her go and tell myself I had done the decent thing. I was so tired of safe answers. "I want you to stay," I said, "but not alone in that house while I run freight and wonder if he shows up again. There is a passenger seat in my truck." Her mouth opened slightly. "I leave in the morning," I continued. "You can come with me for a few days. No pressure. No big declarations. You see what my actual life looks like. I stopped pretending my home is a building I barely use. and we figure out the rest from there. She looked toward the semi parked near the side of the property. You want me in that truck with you? I want you somewhere I can look over and know you're safe. I want you to decide if this is something real to you when the road is not romantic and the coffee is gas station quality and I get frustrated at loading docks. She almost smiled. That is a terrible sales pitch. I have a reputation for honest marketing. A real smile broke through. Then she looked at her car again. What about this? Lock it in the garage. It will be here when we get back. And if I say no? I move my truck, you go. I will not follow you. I will not make it difficult. I will hate it. But I will respect it. She studied me for a long time. Then she walked to her car, turned off the engine, took the keys, picked up her duffel bag, and looked at me. Your truck have heat? Better than the house. Snacks? Define snacks. She shook her head with affectionate exasperation. Oh, Mark. I have jerky and crackers. We are going to need to address that. So that is yes. She walked toward me and held out my flannel shirt. No, she said. My chest tightened. Then she smiled. That is a move your pickup so I can get my car into the garage. I laughed. It came out with more relief than I expected, and considerably less dignity than I had hoped for. We loaded her car into the garage, packed her duffel into the truck, and shut the house down for the road. Chloe climbed into the passenger seat like she was stepping onto a bridge she had chosen herself. As I started the engine, she ran one hand slowly across the dashboard. So this is the famous office. Office, dining room, bedroom, and occasional argument chamber. Sounds cozy. Wait until you meet the cup holders. Very demanding. They have opinions. She buckled her seatbelt and looked at me. I am scared. Me too. You do not look it. I have had a lot of practice. She reached across the space between us and took my hand for a moment. Do not shut me out again without at least giving me the chance to be honest. I will not. And do not ask me to stay if you are going to treat me like a problem you regret. I will not. She nodded. Then drive. I pulled the truck toward the end of the driveway. We had almost reached the road when headlights swept in from the right. David's truck rolled in and stopped across the entrance. Chloe went completely still. You have got to be kidding me, I said. David climbed out and came around the front of his truck, both hands raised like the reasonable man in this story was somehow him. I just want to talk, he called. Chloe's fingers gripped the edge of the seat. I rolled my window halfway down. Move your truck. He looked up at Chloe in the passenger seat. The height made a difference. She was not below him anymore. Not in his doorway, not in his car, not inside his apartment, not living inside his rules. She was above him, behind glass, sitting beside me by choice. Chloe, he called, get out. We will talk like adults. She leaned slightly forward. I am talking like an adult, she said clearly. I am leaving with him. He pointed at me. You do not even know this man. She looked at me once, just for a second, then back at him. I know enough. David stepped closer to the hood of the truck. You are making a mistake. I released the brake. The truck rolled forward, slow, controlled. No drama, no threat. Just weight and direction. David's eyes got wide. He looked from the truck to me and understood the conversation was finished. He backed away quickly and jumped into his pickup, pulling it clear. As we rolled past him, Chloe did not shrink down. She did not look away or cover her face. She looked directly at him through the passenger window, calm and steady, and raised one hand. Not a wave, more like the period at the end of a sentence. Then we turned onto the road. For a few miles, neither of us said anything. The rain had stopped. The pavement reflected headlights in long silver streaks ahead of us. Chloe sat with both hands in her lap, watching the road open up. "You okay?" I asked. She let out a slow breath. "I think so." "You think?" I did not run. I did not explain myself to him. I did not ask his permission. I glanced over. "How does that feel?" She leaned back into the seat and looked at me. "Passenger seat strange." "I can work with that," I said. She reached for my hand. This time, she kept it. The first trip was not some perfect movie moment, let me be clear about that. She learned that truck stops are loud at 2 in the morning, that showers at rest areas require both timing and optimism, and that I become deeply unpleasant when a freight dock tells me something is almost ready for 3 hours running. I learned that Chloe talks to GPS maps like they can hear her and respond to reason, that she cannot stand gas station coffee under any circumstances, and that she has deeply held, carefully considered opinions about snacks that apparently do not include jerky as a legitimate food group. We argued in Arkansas because I answered a question too sharply after a rough morning. She went quiet for 20 minutes. Then she said, "Are we doing the shutting out thing again, or are you just being difficult?" I looked over. "Difficult? Good. Fix it." "I am sorry. I snapped at you, and I made this cab feel like a place you had to be careful." She nodded. "Accepted." "That easy?" "No, but I am not David. I do not collect your mistakes to use later." I sat with that for a long time. She also had a kind of quiet courage that did not announce itself. At a diner outside Little Rock, a man at the counter kept looking at her in a way that I did not like at all. Before I had even decided how to handle it, she looked directly at him and said, "Can I help you find something? Or are you just out here practicing being awkward?" He turned red and became very interested in his plate. I nearly choked on my coffee. She looked at me. "What?" "Nothing." "You were about to handle it." "I was considering my options." "I handled it." "Yes, you did." She smiled. "Careful. I might like you saying that." By the time we got home from that first run, the house did not feel like a test anymore. It felt like a place we returned to between stretches of road. Chloe did not move in all at once. She was careful. I was careful. We took practical steps, because romance is a fine thing, but adults still need mail forwarded, phone numbers updated, locks checked, honest conversations about money, space, and what they both actually wanted. Erin eventually called. She cried. She apologized. David had pressured her, frightened her, slowly worn her down. Chloe listened and forgave what she could and changed what needed changing. She did not make me fight those battles for her. She made her own calls, closed old accounts, found remote work she could do from the road, built a life that did not depend on staying hidden. David sent messages from new numbers. Chloe blocked them without shaking. One afternoon, she handed me her phone and said, "Look, no new messages." "Nothing?" I asked. "Nothing." "How do you feel?" She thought about it for a genuine moment. "Like I got a room back in my own head." I nodded. "Good room to have." Months passed. We fought sometimes. Real fights, not cruel ones. I could still go quiet too fast when something hit close. She could still apologize for needing things she had every right to need. But we learned the rhythm of each other. She would say, "Talk to me before you go behind the wall." I would say, "Ask for help before you pack a bag in your mind." Neither of us got it right every single time. We got better anyway. The proposal was not fancy. I did not arrange a restaurant or get down on one knee in front of a crowd. I did it at sunrise in a truck stop parking lot in New Mexico because that was the exact moment I realized I did not want a version of my life that did not include her having strong opinions about my coffee. She was sitting with one foot up on the dash reading a route note when I said, "Marry me." She looked at me over the paper. That is not how adults change subjects. I am serious. I can see that. You look like you were about to argue with a fuel pump. I bought a ring. Her face changed. You did. It is in the glove box. The glove box. I panicked about storage. She opened it and found the small velvet box between registration paperwork and a stack of napkins. She stared at it, then at me. You planned this very poorly. But yes, I asked. She opened the box, and for once she had no quick answer ready. You do not have to say yes because I helped you, I said. You do not owe me a life because I stopped on the highway. I am asking because I want you beside me when the road is boring, hard, inconvenient, and genuinely good. Especially good. She blinked fast. That was almost smooth. I have been working on it. On who? The cup holders. She laughed through tears. Then she leaned across the console and kissed me. Yes, she said, but we are absolutely buying better snacks for the honeymoon. We got married small and exactly right. Gus came and delivered a toast that included the traveling sandwich story, because friendship is mostly affectionate betrayal with witnesses. Chloe wore a simple dress that suited her perfectly. I wore a suit that made me feel like I was impersonating someone who worked in a tall building. We had dinner afterward with the people who mattered and nobody who did not. Her car stayed in our garage for a while. Then we sold it to a young woman who needed something reliable. Chloe watched it go from the porch. I thought that would be harder, she said. It was your escape car, I said. Hard to let go of that. It became something else. What? She slipped her hand into mine. Proof that I got to choose where I went next. Now she runs with me more often than not. She handles logistics better than I ever did, finds places to eat that do not taste like regret, has slowly and unapologetically transformed the cab into something I still cannot describe without sounding soft. There is an extra blanket behind the seat now, real coffee in a sealed thermos, a small stack of books, her sweatshirt on the hook by the door. My flannel still folded in the sleeper because she says some things should stay exactly where the story started. The house outside Tulsa is not empty anymore. We are not always there, but when we are, it feels used in the right way. Dishes in the sink, her shoes by the door, my tools somewhere they do not belong. A list on the refrigerator that says snacks with an underline because that ongoing negotiation will apparently never truly end. David became a smaller part of the world. Last I heard through Aaron, he left town quietly after losing more control than he could explain to the people around him. I did not celebrate it. I just noticed that I stopped carrying his voice around with me. Sometimes late at night, Chloe falls asleep in the passenger seat while I drive. I will glance over and remember that first night. The rain, the wet clothes, the way she asked for warmth like she was genuinely ashamed to need it. The way I almost drove straight past her and told myself it was not my business. I used to think home was a place you owned and locked up before hitting the road. A fixed point. A building with your name on the mortgage. I was wrong about that. Sometimes home climbs into your truck shaking from the cold, puts on your old flannel shirt, and asks for just one more thing. And if you are lucky enough and smart enough, you give it. Not because you want to be needed, because you finally stop being afraid of what it means to matter to someone, and what it means to let them matter to you.